Hey guys, Rohan Chef here. Now, can you answer this simple question? What is the most important aspect of any business? Or in this case, your business. The aspect without which no business can function or even exist. You might have guessed it, it's customers. The answer seems so simple and obvious, am I right? Yet a lot of business owners struggle to understand that the most important part of any business is to make sure that there is a constant stream of leads coming through. No business in the world can take function without people. Now let me take a wild guess. You clicked on this video for one of two possible reasons. One, you own a business that is a physical location, and due to COVID, the number of people coming through your doors have dropped dramatically. Or two, you own an online service or product-based business and you don't seem to have the desired consistency of leads coming through your online funnels or websites. If it's the case, do not worry, because this video is the exact reason I'm going to give you the solution that you might be looking for. See, now I've spent over 9 years building a digital marketing agency that provides business industry leaders with a constant flow of leads. And today I want to share with you the exact marketing strategies that our clients pay us thousands of dollars to implement them in their businesses. And I'm going to give this to you right now, right here, for free. Let's get into it. Part one, physical businesses. Now, over the last year during the COVID-19 pandemic or in 2020, I'm sure a lot of you that own physical businesses have been completely put into a complete tailspin, not understanding or not seeing what's happened. And I don't blame you, because this is something that we have never seen in our generation. The world has been completely put on its head. The business and the economic structure has been put on its head, and we're just trying to figure out what to do. Throughout this entire year in 2020, one of the things that we did at GrowRev was start a series called Locally Owned. Locally Owned was a series where we went out and interviewed local business owners here in Vancouver, where I live, and seeing some of the businesses that have struggled, that have succeeded, that have had trials, tribulations, and just kind of look at some of the different things that they've had to implement during COVID. There's a lot of other companies that I'm sure that you've seen that are multinational companies, like ones you're seeing on the screen right now, that got completely wiped during this crazy pandemic. One thing, in my personal opinion, the big brands that succeeded, the e-commerce brands that succeeded, the online brands that succeeded, or the physical companies that succeeded versus the ones that didn't, they had one commonality. The ones that did pivot are the ones that succeeded. Now, before we get to that point in time, I want to touch on ones that didn't. The ones that didn't, the commonality that I saw between all of them was they just relied on referrals and people coming through their door, the kind of people that they were just knew, whether it's a coffee shop or a restaurant or a salon, it didn't really matter. They were used to having somebody come through their door at any given time, and they kind of knew their numbers based on a static business model, to say the least. The one thing that I've learned in any business that I've ever seen, whether it's offline or online, is having a static business model and having something that can add some sort of predictable online revenue. The ones that have had that predictable online revenue are the ones that transitioned and scaled. The offline businesses, there's one that comes to mind pretty well for me, a cafe slash bakery that was locally here in my neighborhood that kind of transitioned. They were literally reliant on the demographic of people coming through. Now, they had massive leases, they had massive bills to be due, and they just kind of had to physically pivot immediately. One of the things that they did, they started offering takeout meals. Look at those businesses. Look at businesses like Uber Eats, DoorDash, Skip the Dishes. They absolutely excelled because they were focused on convenience in the digital era. A lot of businesses that are doing that were phenomenal. Now, ones that even got hit pretty heavily were yoga studios, gyms, and places where people are required to be in those. I know yoga studios right now that I could potentially buy if I wanted to get into that business for literally $0, because there's people just handing their businesses away because they didn't pivot. There's one that we interviewed that was also a yoga studio, and they pivoted and just gave their current members and continually have their monthly recurring revenue just transition to an online space where they were doing Zoom classes or video classes through a camera online and doing the same yoga classes and transition their businesses from offline to online. Doing that, in my personal opinion, has changed the trajectory of any business moving forward. Because if we can start future pacing and looking at when the world goes back to normal or semi-normal, as we're going to look at it over the next few years, these businesses that pivoted and went online are always going to have that as an offering. Now, what did they just do? They just added an additional stream of income from their static business they were already used to, having their classes, having the people coming through the door, buying their baked goods, etc., and also offering what they were already offering. There's a few things that have also happened for me during this entire series. One, it opened my eyes to see businesses that were already in the digital space. Whether it's keeping simple, like things like posting on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, etc. Figure out a business model that you like, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram, whether it's written content for Facebook, or even LinkedIn. One thing is that mostly businesses don't take the time is to understand where their demographic is hanging out. Now, if they're hanging out on Instagram, double down on Instagram. If they're hanging out on Facebook, double down on Facebook. And then get to a point where you can start outsourcing things to agencies or to contractors that could take this over for you to consistently be top of mind. It doesn't matter what business you're in, your end audience is hanging out on some social media platform. From there, what I would probably also suggest is whatever platform you choose, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, take a little bit of your marketing budget that you were traditionally spending before and put that into online ads. Facebook ads, Instagram ads, most people look at it in today's day and age like it's completely saturated. And believe me, it's not, especially for local businesses. Because local businesses, guess what? You're only really targeting maybe a geographical area of, let's say, 10 kilometers around you where people can kind of target and you can reach. Part 2 of this entire video is going to be focused on online and whether it's service-based, product-based, or info-based businesses. Now, if you just watch the early part of this video and you're an offline company or a brick-and-mortar company, keep watching because you're going to learn a lot of things that I didn't share with you earlier. One of the big things throughout the entire 2020 year for us at GrowRev was a big change. Now, we went into the year, high on our horse and kind of expecting 2020 to be the craziest year that we've ever seen in growth, due to the fact that 2019 was one of the best years we'd ever seen. January was good, February was good, March happened, and we got completely rocked. It took us about 60 days to come back out of it. Now, we're in a business model where we're helping businesses like yourself scale their paid advertising online. A lot of it didn't come down from the perspective of understanding what to do in a situation. It put me in a place where, as the creative director, in terms of understanding what offers to get clients to come up with, what things to do. And I got into a mode where I had to jump on calls every single call and start pivoting offers. Clients were shutting down their marketing, shutting down their stores, and I literally had to go, stop, don't do that, because if you do not fix this now, no one knows when we're going to be coming back online. And we had to sit down and interview every single one of our clients. One of them based out of Australia, what we ended up doing was, he was a traditional business where he was dealing with people and selling properties through an investment portfolio that he was building. We transitioned the entire thing, took the entire offline offer, brought it online, created a course, started educating for literally an entire 8 weeks. Did not ask for a single sale. All he did was shoot content. We ran ads to that content and built an amazing audience. 8 weeks later, while we were still during this uncertain times in Australia, and they were one of the most locked down countries in my personal opinion early on, during that entire time, his entire business, the lead flow, we couldn't control it at the end of it because there were so many people still wanting to do that, because at the end of the day, once we came out of the craziness and the panic that was end of March, early April, people still wanted to spend money online. E-commerce took off, and they saw some of the biggest growth numbers that they've ever seen during an online way. Now, the reason being, there was one of two things. One, they knew what it cost to get a customer, so cost per customer acquisition, so they knew what it cost to acquire that customer. Two, the other thing that they knew, and we drilled this down with every single one of our clients, is LTV, lifetime value. What is one client worth to you? If they come in today, costs you, let's just call it $100 to acquire this one customer. At the end of the day, it costs you $100 to get that first sale. How many more sales can you get from them at the end of it? And how long are they with you? And what's that total number? Because at the end of the day, the person that spends the most to acquire that customer is going to win. Now, if it costs you $100 to acquire a customer, but their lifetime value is over $1,000, technically you should be able to spend at least $500, or be willing to spend on the low end at least $500 to acquire that customer, because you could still profit another $500 off them. Figuring that out for every single one of our clients in that moment of pivoting and kind of looking at their numbers, looking at what their previous numbers were, transformed majority of the online clients that we work with. Not only did it do it for service-based businesses, not only did it do it for e-commerce-based businesses, but information-based businesses absolutely skyrocketed during this time. Because at the end of the day, there was more time for education, there was more time for people to listen to more audios, more videos, more courses, and education businesses took right off. Now, one of the big things that most people don't realize in the online world is having consistency of leads. And that's the biggest thing that you struggle with. Now, do you run your business like where you're consistently building week over week, month over month, year over year for sustainable compounded growth? Or are you running your business like a Disneyland roller coaster? Because at the end of the day, if you're running your business where this month you've got a ton of leads and next month you got no leads and then you're back up again and then you're running yourself in a circle and now you're probably like, what the f did I just do with myself and why did I even get into this business? Because it just doesn't make any sense. One thing that you got to understand is lifetime of that value of that customer, because the big thing is when you understand what that is for you, you're going to change that mentality completely different. In times like where we are, you may not have the biggest budgets to be marketing, and we see this on a day-to-day basis. You may not have the the budgets that you see people spending hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars online like some of our clients are. All you got to do is start small, and that's what we did. We just started small. We literally started investing a lot of time into our clients, understanding what makes them tick, understanding why they started their business, understanding what we need to do on a day-to-day business to keep them consistency. Now, doing that, we have not had a trajectory since then of just where it was just to the top of Mount Everest and then to the valley and the dooms of God only knows what. We've literally consistently grown month over month, week over week, year over year, given the 2020 pandemic was one that nobody was expecting. Now, if you know your cost per acquisition and you know what your lifetime value is and you're willing to spend that every single month and you can build a sales process, the big thing that most people don't realize is when someone sees an ad one time, they're more than likely not going to buy from you. When I used to do sales, we used to tell our guys, you have to get an average of 7 no's before you get a yes from a client. And that literally was a game that we would do. It works in marketing. When someone sees an ad one time, or if you see my face in an ad one time, you may not click on it. But if you see my ad, if you see my face multiple times, you see my brand multiple times, and all I'm doing is giving you value, giving you value, giving you value, giving you value, eventually you're going to convert. So content, like I mentioned earlier, for the guys that are offline, you can also use it online. Understanding your cost per acquisition, understanding your LTV, and being in front of your customers as much as you possibly can. Because at the end of the day, they may see you on Facebook, they may go Google you, and if you're not running Google search ads and somebody else and your customer is feeding them more content than you are, guess what? You started it cost you, but your competition just took the client from you. Once you figure all that out and you start tracking your mats, take that and invest in your business month over month by increasing it, whether it's 20, 30%. Every single month, take what you make back, invest it back into your marketing, 20 more percent every single month. You may start with $100 today, next month you're at $120, and you keep going and going and going. By a year from today, you'll be spending enough on your marketing that you will shock yourself as to the consistency of leads that are going to come through it. Most people just look at advertising from a perspective of I got to spend money and I hope I make money, but they don't look at advertising as I got to spend money today to potentially close a customer 3, 6, 12 months from now, and that customer could have already sent me a referral because I've been in front of their face, they were just not ready to buy. The amount of times that has happened to me, it will boggle your mind. Where consumers have seen an ad from me, don't buy 12 months from now, but they say, hey, I sent you this person via your website, I'm not sure if they came through, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, that's where this lead came through. But who was the one that I originally touched? The person that I closed 12 months from today, but they saw my ad so consistently that when they came and asked them, they sent me the referral. So now that ad not only closed one person, it closed 2 people, but the consistency of my face being in front of them and my brand being in front of them is what built the sales consistency that we have in our business today. Hope this video was really, really helpful and you implement some of the tactics that I've shared with you. Whether you run a traditional brick and mortar store, take the time to double down in online advertising. Take the time to double down in social media. Take the time to double down and start educating your audience through platforms that you're watching this video on. Because at the end of the day, when things go back to normal, if you implement this now and you start building a system for it when things go back to normal, no matter what happens, your business is going to see an absolute spike and a trajectory that I don't think you yourself can understand what can come from just spending the time. Now, you can literally shoot it on your iPhone, you can take pictures using your iPhone or Android, whatever phone you use, and just start sharing. Because being top of mind, in my personal opinion, going into the next era of what coming out of this pandemic is going to be the biggest thing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I look forward to sharing more videos like this. Please leave me a comment on something that you truly enjoyed or you're going to implement, whether you run an offline business or an online business below. If you haven't already, hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm, because at the end of the day, videos like this need to be shared with other business owners out there that are struggling and need to see this on an immediate basis. So hit that like button, hit it again, hit it again, hit it again, because as much as you can hit it or share the video. And for those of you that have not already subscribed, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And I look forward to seeing you in a new video.